Hello friends, I welcome you all in this audio presentation for most important questions from December 2019 question paper of environmental science. Let's start with the very first question. And the first question is the bioremediation technology which involves the addition of microbial culture is known as, and the options are enhanced bioremediation, bio-augmentation, bio-venting, intrinsic bioremediation. So the correct option for this question is bio-augmentation. And the second question is phytoremediation is an important tool for, and the options are improving the health of disease plants, removing dissolved oxygen from aquatic ecosystem, eradicating the invasive species, removing the toxic chemicals from the polluted ecosystem. And the correct answer for this question is removing toxic chemicals from the polluted ecosystem. In this question, I have divided this into two parts because these two questions are related to the same concept, that is bioremediation. And the very first question, the first part of the this question is bioremediation technology which involves the additional of microbial culture, and it is a very direct question, that is it is talking about bioaugmentation. The definition of bioaugmentation is enhancing the potential of the indigenous microbes to degrade to degrade the pollutant that is present in the ecosystem. Bioventing is a technique in which we inject air, basically oxygen, for the microbes so that they can easily degrade the pollutant that is present in that ecosystem. And moving to the second part, that is phytoremediation. Phytoremediation is a very simple technique which basically depends on the plants, as the name itself suggests, that is phyto means plants and means remediation of something, that is a remediation of the polluted ecosystem. So by eliminating also we can see that it is not removing dissolved oxygen from aquatic ecosystem. So we can eliminate this option, eradicating the invasive species. Phytoremediation is not related to eradicating the invasive species, so we have eliminated the third option. And improving the health of the disease plants, it is also not related to phytoremediation. The only correct answer for this question is the option D. So why I have taken these two questions? I have taken these two questions because this is a very basic concept, and this concept is asked in this exam very often. You'll see one or two questions related to bioremediation in every question paper. Every time they'll ask something related to bioremediation, they can simply ask you the definitions of any technique such as bioventing, biosparging, bioaugmentation, or they'll ask something related to bioremediation. So you should know all the terms and terminology related to bioremediation. Moving on to the next questions. So the second question is, which among the following is correct sequence of elements in Earth's crust in decreasing order? And the options are oxygen, aluminium, silicon, iron. And the second option is oxygen, silicon, aluminium, iron. And the third option is oxygen, aluminium, iron, silicon. The fourth option is oxygen, silicon, aluminium, iron. And the answer for this question is, that is most abundant element in earth crust is oxygen, followed by silicon, followed by aluminum, and least present in comparison to these three is iron. So basically you have to remember the percentage of the element that is present in earth crust, because they'll ask you the same concept in different way. They can ask you the maximum, the most abundant element in earth crust, and the correct answer for that question will be oxygen. But you have to remember the percentage, that is that what percent of oxygen is present in earth crust, what percent of silicon is present in earth crust, and what are the major elements that are present in earth crust. Therefore you will cover all the concept related to this question. And because this question is asked in several this question is repeated several times, they'll change the form of the question, but the basic core concept of the question will remain same. Now moving on to the next question. So the third question is, two streams A and B are flowing with flow rates of 20 meter cube per second and 5 meter cube per second respectively. The concentration of pollutant X in the two streams are 5 milligram per liter and 50 milligram per liter for stream A and stream B. The two streams join each other. Assume that complete mixing of the streams occur after joining, and pollutant A is a conservative substance. The downstream concentration of the pollutant after joining of the two streams would be, and the options are 30 milligram per liter, 27 milligram per liter, 25 milligram per liter, and 22 milligram per liter. And the correct answer for this question is 22 milligram per liter. This is one of the most repeated numerical question for this exam, and it is a very simple question based on a very simple concept, that is conservation of mass. In this you have to follow a simple basic step, that is, for example, stream A is flowing and here stream B is flowing, and they are mixing, and finally they are resulting into a stream, let's say stream C. So for this question you have to multiply the concentration of the pollutant into the flow rate, and for stream A you have to simply do the same, multiply the concentration of the pollutant into flow rate of the stream, and for C you have to simply add A and B, you'll get the same for C, that is concentration and flow rate. So you can finally calculate the C by this equation: A plus B is equal to C, that is the value of and Q C and Q, that is concentration and the flow rate for a stream A, plus the concentration and flow rate of for stream B will be equal to the concentration and the flow rate and the concentration for the stream C after joining of A and B, as written in this question, and that the pollutant is a conservative substance, that is, and there is a complete mixing, that then and the second concept given in the question is that there is a complete mixing, though. So you can simply calculate this question using this very concept, and it is a very direct question, and you will find this question in every, I think you will find it in the alternate years, and very it comes very oftenly in this very exam. So moving on to the, I think this is a very direct question and very easy question, so let's move on to the next question. So the fourth question is, which one of the following is not a constituent of photochemical smog? The options are: option A, peroxybenzoyl nitrate; option B, ozone; option C, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon; option D, peroxyacetyl nitrate. And the correct answer for this question is option 3, that is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And this question you have to you should know the prerequisite for the formation of photochemical smogs, which are NOx. That is, NOx is a prerequisite for the formation of photochemical smog. Sunlight, you need sunlight for the formation of photochemical smog. You need ozone, you need peroxyacetyl nitrate, and volatile organic compounds. So these five are the prerequisite for the formation of photochemical smog. And in this very question, they are asking about a not, which is not a constituent of photochemical smog. So polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon will be your answer. And for for a benzoyl for peroxybenzoyl nitrate, uh, it is a this belongs to a homologous series of pans, so this is not an answer. And the final answer is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, and as they are not a constituent of photochemical smog. You should know everything about photochemical smog. That is the reactions that are involved during the formation of photochemical smog, the compounds that are that combined react together to form the photochemical smog, and what are the different mechanisms involved in the photochemical smog. As this concept is a very concept is a very important concept in consideration of the questions, because there is every there you will find questions related to this concept in every question paper in this very exam. So moving now moving on to the next question. So the fifth question is, which among the following is the correct order of stratification in lentic ecosystem from top to bottom? And the options are: option A, littoral zone; limnatic zone; profundal zone; benthic zone. Option B is limnatic zone, littoral zone, benthic zone, profundal zone. Option C is limnatic zone, benthic zone, profundal zone, littoral zone. Option D is littoral zone, limnatic zone, benthic zone, and profundal zone. The correct answer for this question is option A, that is littoral zone, limnatic zone, profundal zone, and benthic zone. In this very question, you should know what is the difference between lentic and lotic ecosystem. That is, lentic is a static ecosystem. It's a static ecosystem of water, whereas a lotic is a flowing ecosystem of water, that is river. Whereas lentic ecosystem, the example of lentic ecosystem is pond. Now the stratification related to pond. Basically, this is a basic structure of a pond. In this, the rooted this region is littoral zone. This region is limnatic zone. This region is profundal zone, and the bottom of this pond is known as benthic zone. So this region is limnatic, this region is profundal, this region is benthic, and the rooted or the this this region this very region is littoral zone. So one point, the other point that you should remember for these question, that P upon R ratio, that is photosynthetic upon respiration ratio, is always greater than 1 for littoral zone. It is around 1 for limnatic zone, and it is less than 1, sorry, less than 1 for profundal. It is very around 0, very less, sorry, not around 0, but very less than 1, because there is no light for photosynthesis in this benthic zone, and that is bottom zone, whereas there is enough sunlight for photosynthesis in littoral zone and limnatic zone, that is on the surface of the pond. So the correct answer for this question will be littoral zone, limnatic zone, profundal zone, and benthic zone. So you should know what basic stratification of the lake, pond, and ocean, and how on the what basis and different basis of the stratification, but whether it is stratification on the basis of sunlight, or on the basis of temperature. You should know on what basis the stratification of the water body is done. So moving on to the next question. Question number 6 is, how many years will it take for the population of a country to double if it grows at a rate of 4% per year? And the options are: option A 17.3 years, option B 13.8 years, option C 15 years, option D 25 years. And the correct answer is option A 17.3 years. In this question, they are asking about the doubling time of a population, which is equal to around 70 upon the rate of growth of the population. That is, at what rate the population is growing per year. And it is a very direct question, on based on a very direct formula. You have to simply put the value of the growth rate in this question, and you will get the correct answer. So moving on to the as I have discussed this question, let's move on to the next question, that is question number 7. So the seventh question is, match the following based on the days related to the environment. That is, match the celebration of days related to environment with their corresponding date. List one days, that is Earth Day, International Ozone Day, International Biodiversity Day, Wetland Day, and list two that contains date, that is 2nd February, 16th September, 2nd April, and 22nd May. As we all know, Earth Day is celebrated on the 22nd April. International Ozone Day is celebrated on 16th September. International Biodiversity Day is celebrated on 22nd May, and Wetland Day is celebrated on 2nd February. And along with this date and days, you should also remember the theme of a particular day. That is, for this particular year, the theme for Wetland Day is wetland and biodiversity, and accordingly you should know the themes of the themes of days, like Earth Day. What was the theme for Earth Day? What was the theme for Ozone Day? What was the theme for Biodiversity Day? Because they can ask you the day and dates, and also the theme. So you should know both the things. And let's move on to the next question, that is on. So the question 8 is, when a stable layer exists below the stack height and an unstable layer above, which of the following type of plume behavior is expected to be observed? Option A is looping, option B is coning, option C is fumigating, option D is lofting. So the correct answer is lofting. Now, when will we observe looping plume behavior? When ELR is greater than DLR, we'll observe looping plume behavior. DLR. Looping. And this condition is considered to be an unstable environmental condition, and in this very condition, looping plume behavior will be observed, whereas in coning the ELR, whereas in coning plume behavior, ELR is equal to DA DALR, that is dry, and the ELR stands for environmental lapse rate, and DALR stands for dry adiabatic lapse rate. Whereas in the case of fumigating, the stable layer is formed just above the stack height, which limits the dispersion of the pollutant, and the pollutant, there is no particular dispersion of pollutants over long distance, and the pollutants are settled very near to the stack. So so it is very unsuitable for the human settlement. Whereas in the case of lofting, the stable layer is present below the stack height, which permits over and the long range dispersion of the pollutant, and it is very suitable for the human settlement. And in lofting, the stable layer is just below the stack height, that is stable layer, that is inversion layer, whereas the unstable layer is above the stack height, which allows the dispersion of pollutants. This is it about this question. Moving on to the next question, that is question number 9. So the ninth question is, consider the following statements. The statement A is, chromium 3 chemical species is more toxic than chromium 4. Statement B is, dimethyl mercury chemical species is more toxic than methyl mercury ion. Statement C is, arsenic 3 is more toxic than arsenic 5. Which of the statement is or are correct? Option A, B only. Option 2, A, B and C. Option 3, C only, and option 4 A and C only. So the correct answer for this question is option 3 C only, that is arsenic 3 is more toxic than arsenic 5. So in this very question, so the first statement, chromium 3 chemical species is more toxic than chromium 4. In reality, the chromium 3 is less toxic when compared to chromium 4. Sorry, Cr, chromium, that is chromium plus 3 is less toxic than chromium 4, whereas in case of methyl mercury, the methyl mercury ion is more toxic than dimethyl mercury, and in the third option arsenic 3 is more toxic than arsenic 5. This is a correct statement, whereas this is a false and false statement, whereas the option A, it is also a false statement. So the correct answer is only C. Now moving on to the next question. The question 10. Question 10 is influx of high nutrient load of nitrates and phosphate into an aquatic ecosystem contributes towards option A oligotrophication, option B poor primary production, option 3 extreme oligotrophication, option 4 eutrophication. So the correct answer for this question is option 4 eutrophication, as eutrophication is a man-made aging of natural aquatic ecosystem through the influx of nutrients and nutrient loads of nitrate and phosphate, as they are the limiting factor of growth in the water body. So the correct answer is fourth. So it is a very direct question. Just they have simply stated the definition of the eutrophication in the question and given the eutrophication as one of its option. Moving on to the next question. Question number 11. Which among the following is the correct order of steps involved, steps taken during the process of environmental impact assessment? So the options are scoping, screening, public hearing, EIA, issue of environmental clearance. Second option, screening, public hearing, scoping, EIA, issue of environmental clearance. Option third, screening, scoping, EIA, public hearing, issue of environmental clearance. Option 4, screening, EIA, scoping, public hearing, issue of environmental clearance. The correct answer for this question is option third, screening, scoping, EIA, public hearing and issue of environmental clearance. In this very in this very process, that is environmental impact assessment, the very first step is to consider whether the project requires an EIA or not. So this is done under the very first step, that is screening. Basically during screening they will consider the project, they will consider if the project needs an EIA or not. And moving on to the next step, that is scoping. During this they will decide the boundaries and the basis of doing EIA, that is on which grounds they will conduct an EIA, that is air, water, aesthetic values, and this is decided in this various step, that is scoping. Moving on to the next, that is EIA. In this they will decide the environmental impacts by analyzing the differences between when the project is implemented and when there is no project, that is the present condition and the future condition. And moving on to the next step, that is public hearing. They will conduct during this process EIA if a project it is a very vital step, that is public hearing. In this they'll hear the grievances and the points of the public, which will be get affected or benefited from that very project. And on these all basis, if the project is good to go, then the issue of environmental clearance, that is environmental clearance is issued from whether central government, if that is category A project, and issue of environmental clearance issue is given from state government if it belongs to category B1, and from central government, if central government, that is MOEFCC, if the project is the project belongs to category A. Moving on to the last question, that is solar insulation on a rectangular module 1.5 meter into 2.0 meter of a photovoltaic cell is 550 watt per meter square. If the efficiency of cells is 12%, what is the power output of the module? 1. Option 1 396 watt, option 2 240 watt, option 3 99 watt, option 4 198 watt. So the correct answer is option 4 190 watt. 198 watt, and this question is based on a very direct formula, that is efficiency is equal to power upon SI, that is solar insulation, into area, and the values of the efficiency, SI and area is given in the question. You can directly put the values and you'll get the answer for power output in watt. So these were some important questions from the year 2019 December question paper, and all the best to all you guys, and hope for the best. Prepare well.